Hey, good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host. And I apologize, we're starting a little bit late. We had some technical difficulties. Technology is awesome when it works. And we're going to talk about some technology stuff today. I've got my new friend, Mr. Craig Lillard, on the show today. And this guy is, man, he's got a lot going on. He developed some amazing software that I use. And it's incredible. And we're just going to hear about his story. So let me bring him in and welcome to the show, Craig.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Dude, I appreciate you taking the time. We both had a little bit of a technical glitch this morning.
We did indeed.
Good thing we're not in technology.
Indeed. Yes, but we made it through.
We did. We did.
Yep.
So a year and a half ago, Breakthrough Walls, it really was to give back, to help other people have a breakthrough in life, because we all hit those walls that we don't think we're going to make it through, that we're going to die.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And not get through. And, you know, I think that it's encouraging to others to hear how other people have made it through. So let's start with talking about where you were born and raised.
Yeah. I was born in Miami, Florida, and back in 1971. And we lived there for about 6 years. My dad was a pilot. He flew for Pan Am. Remember Pan Am back in the day? He was a 747 captain for Pan Am. So
wow.
Yeah, so he flew out of Miami, and so we needed to be near Miami. So we eventually moved up to Orlando, and that's where I grew up. And it was there all the way up until I came out to Texas. I went to Baylor University out here in Texas, you know, when I was around 18 or so. But yeah, spent most of my time in Florida. Florida native, love Florida. Wouldn't mind going back there someday, actually.
Wow. So you're in the Dallas area, right?
I am. Yep.
Yeah.
North, way north Dallas area.
Yeah. So you went to Baylor's in Texas?
It is. Yep.
See,
Waco, Texas.
Waco. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So what did you go to college for? What was your?
I went to college. I majored in video and film production in college. My plan was actually to go work in a church with teenagers. So I really only majored in that just because it was fun to do. It wasn't something I thought that I would do eventually, but it all kind of came around, and I ended up using that video that I learned, because pretty much every company I've started has been video related in one way or another. So yeah, it was good. It was fun. It was a fun major.
Wow. So where did that lead you after college?
I did end up working with students. I got my master's, then I started working in a church with students in Charlotte, North Carolina. Got married, moved to Charlotte, and I was there for about 4 years. And about 4 years in, while I was there, I started developing websites on the side, and I always loved technology. Had my first computer when I was like 12 or so. I mean, when there were very few computers to be had. It was a Texas Instruments computer. You loaded your video games on a cassette tape.
Yep.
And
I had the Commodore 64C.
That was the second one that I had, was my Commodore 64. And I told this story on another podcast, how I wanted a modem so I could hack into my school and change my grades like Ferris Bueller did. But no, that was all fantasy. No schools had modems back then. There's no way to hack in or change your grades. It was all a sham. So, but I did.
You had to learn how to make the F look like a B.
Exactly. You had to do programs where you just said hello like 9,000 times, and that was about as far as you got outside of playing video games.
Right.
but I did love technology. I made little movies when I was a kid, and was entrepreneurial too. Sold caterpillars when I was like 10 years old. Put caterpillars in a jar and took them to school and sold them for
Wow.
10 cents each when they could have just grabbed them off the ground. And that was pretty funny, actually.
Wow.
So yeah, I went and I was doing web development on the side, and really enjoyed it. And this was back in '97 when, it was just the GeoCities era of web development.
Yeah.
And so I had done a website for for this local nonprofit, and I was about to have my second child, and I couldn't afford a video camera at the time, and I wanted a video camera, and
they were expensive back then.
Well, this was the good time, actually, because this was right when prosumer cameras came in. So, this was the shift when video cameras became affordable, and they literally just came out. Canon came out with a camera called the XL1, and another one called the GO1, which were really the first. Before that, if you wanted a good video camera, $50 grand, $40 grand or whatever, and these were like $5,000 to $7,000. So I started thinking, how can I get one of these cameras? Because I can use it, in my business and in my web development business as well. So I went to these guys, this nonprofit I designed this website for, and I said, look, here's this proposal. If you'll buy me all this gear on this proposal, it was like $8,000 worth of gear, I'll make you 2 professional videos, and it'll still be cheaper than if you went out and hired, some company to do it for you. And just crazily, they agreed to this proposal, that I just whipped up. And I made them this guarantee. I said, look, if you don't like them, I'll pay you back. And in my head, I'm just thinking, I'm going to make sure you like them, at all costs. I'll just remake them 1,000,000 times if I need to. But I was pretty confident that I could do it.
Yeah.
So, they wrote me this check, and I bought all this video equipment. So I had all this video gear, and I made them the videos, and it all worked out good. And I was using some video resources, some educational video resources when I was working at this church, and they weren't very good. Teenagers like stuff to be high quality. So I started producing kind of my own videos. I called them video illustrations, and they were topical, and we did on the street interviews, and we asked people questions, and I made this business out of nothing, selling this subscription to this, you get at the time it was 4 VHS tapes a year, and each of them had 6 of these short video clips on them. And so I launched that in January of 2001, and like within 3 months, I had replaced my salary at that church that I was working at, and so it basically just took off very quickly. Not that my salary was very much; it wasn't extremely difficult to replace, but still.
So let me get this right. You had a master's degree in video something.
No, I had a master. I went to seminary, so I had a master's degree in, it was theology basically. So
I got you. So totally related to video.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all.
Right.
No.
Wow, man, that's crazy. Okay, so is that like 99% of all college graduates don't do what they?
Well, but see, that's the irony, is that I did major in video. I mean, that's what I majored in. I did not think it would ever come back around, but it all came back around.
Wow.
And not that, video back then. I mean, one of my classes was like radio or something, and I was spinning records. I mean, this was when CDs were out, and we were still like splicing tape, and we had to pretend like we were DJs spinning these records. And I remember they only had like 4 records to choose from.
Oh my god!
And so my shtick was, we're playing the greatest hits from 1984 to 1986, because that's all we had. We had 4 records in that little time span. So it wasn't like that major was super, preparatory for what I was doing, but at the same time, it definitely taught me some fundamentals that I used, you know, in making those videos. So yeah.
So you went to the church and said, "I'm out."
Pretty much, yeah. They didn't buy it. The guy that was over me, he wasn't buying it. Like he thought I was just gonna fall flat on my face. Basically.
Don't you love those people?
I love them, man. It was so funny because it really took off, and I didn't really talk about it to anybody.
Yeah.
And before we moved back to Texas a couple years later, I saw that guy at a wedding, and I said, "Yeah, we're moving back to Texas. You know, my wife's family's out here." And even then, he was like, "What are you going to do for money when you get back to Texas?" And I'm just like, dude, like, you just don't get it, man. You just don't get it.
So this is a guy that worked at the church.
Yeah.
And your business was what exactly?
It was these educational resources that I was selling to other churches, mainly people working with teenagers.
I got you.
All over the place, but you know, he didn't know that really. I mean, I'd explained it to him, but he didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't think he cared to know it, honestly.
No. Those doubters, man, they can be the fuel.
Indeed.
So here you were in, so you moved back to Texas.
We eventually moved back to Texas in 2003 from North Carolina. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why Texas?
Oh man. Well, my wife mainly, you know, her family was here. I didn't want to come back personally because I'm not a Texan, but yeah, we had our kids and they were little and she wanted to come back. So we came back.
Wow. So, there's a guy on here. I don't know if you can see the comments, but he's saying develop a tripod lamp kit and make another $1 million.
There you go. Not a bad idea.
yeah. He loves your, let me go full screen. He loves that tripod lamp you have back there. That is kind of cool.
I didn't know exactly what you were referring to. That's hilarious. Yes, there it is.
Did you make that?
I did indeed. Yes, wow. I made that. Yep. Exactly.
That's awesome, man. So you go back to Texas now. When you were selling this stuff, because I built my first website in 1994, right? The internet was somewhat new.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as getting out on ISP, you could do stuff on GeoCities and AOL. And I think even was MySpace even, I don't know if MySpace.
No MySpace.
So. It was, YouTube definitely didn't exist.
Yes.
And so, we're cut from a similar cloth, I'd say.
Yes, definitely.
But you know, you go back to Texas, and I've done that where I move to another city and I take my business with me.
Yeah.
And that it can be challenging, real challenging actually. But were you selling all over the country? How were you doing it?
It was all online. So everything was online. I mean, apart from online, we did some conventions, you know, but that was it. So it really wasn't that big a deal for me because that was one-man show, you know, at the time. I mean, I had kind of like one person that kind of filled orders for me and mailed out packages. So yeah, it wasn't a big deal. Ended up getting an office with my brother. He lives here. My brother lives here. So we got an office together. And ended up hiring a couple kind of college guys out here. So yeah, that transition was not a super big problem.
So were you? And I'm trying to understand exactly. Were you selling video assets to these youth groups or to? I'm not sure. I understand. Like B-roll or
no. So let's say you're talking about patients. 1 week.
Okay.
And you want to intro that with a video clip. So might go out on the street and ask people, hey, what makes you impatient or whatever.
Right.
Get a bunch of answers, cut it together in kind of like an MTV style editing with some music, or we might go interview somebody who went, kind of like a Dateline style video where they went through some really difficult thing and they had to have patience. So we would have 6 of these different video clips, 2 to 3 minutes long. And then, guys that were wanting to use video and with teenagers, it's something you want to do,
Yeah,
so it was something that was very popular. And back then, churches weren't really using video a lot.
Right.
Now they are using it like crazy.
They are.
But we were definitely one of the kind of on that verge of, kind of bringing video into churches, letting them kind of modernize a little bit.
Got it. Okay. So what ended up, I mean, are you still in that business?
No. So interestingly, a couple of companies launched, and this is all, this is what disruption does to you. So a couple of companies launched, and their model was to crowdsource basically what we were doing. So a couple marketplaces came out and said, look, anybody with a video camera can create video content like this, put it on our marketplace, and then you can just download one video. So once these launched, they come to me and said, hey, why don't you put your stuff on our website? I knew that was like the death knell. Like I knew that was like either I had to compete with what these guys were doing and build my own marketplace, or die. And I pivoted a little. I did pivot. That lasted a couple years. I turned everything we had, because at that point we had a good, had about 100 videos.
Yeah.
I turned it into a downloadable subscription. So you could subscribe for a year for like $100, and you get access to all the content we created. And I partnered with a couple other content creators, and that worked pretty well for a couple years. But even then, I knew that this was not going to work, and started seeing our revenues fall. So I knew I had to do something. And I remember sitting up, in my home office. I remember this day, man, because I had some depressing country music video on, and I remember just having my head in my hands, just like,
dude, that's the worst thing you could be playing.
What am I gonna do? Just feeling like this is gonna be a disaster. I don't know what to do, and I knew we were just heading down. And I was like, I don't think I'm gonna go back and work at a church. I mean, I definitely had the entrepreneurial bug at that point. So I was at a crossroads, and I had to figure something out, and our lifestyle had changed. I mean, we're doing well. We had a good, strong business. I wasn't getting paid a church salary anymore. So
right.
I had to figure out what that next thing was going to be. And thankfully I figured that out.
So you figured it out before everything, because that's something that I see, and I'm sure you've seen with businesses. They don't pay attention to what's happening. I mean, I've been in web development now for over 25 years, and it's like, it's changed so much that it's like almost a commodity. So I've been, paying attention to that for quite some time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you see people hang on way too long, right?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. I mean, if one thing I've learned that, if somebody can do something, they're going to do it. I mean, if they can do it cheaper, if they can do, and people tend to see that, and they think they convince themselves, oh, this won't make a difference, oh, this will be okay.
Right.
And it won't, because even if they fail at whatever that disruption is, somebody else is going to come right back with the same disruption, and they won't fail. So you once you start seeing those dominoes fall, you really have to start planning on how you're going to react to it.
Or they think, I don't know if you remember, back in 2002, 03, I started doing SEO. And I think it was around 07, 08. There were all these little pop-ups that started, pop-up search engines They were like, we're taking
Oh, yeah.
Google down.
Right.
I mean, here recently somebody's like, we're taking Amazon out of the game.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude, don't take on Goliath. Like, I know it's a great story in the Bible, but dude, like, seriously, like, don't, like, anyway.
No, I agree.
Right? We've seen that where it's like, we're going to take on Google, we're going to take on Amazon, and there's things that you have seen, and I'm going to let you tell a little bit more about some of the other stuff you got involved in along the way, because I know a little bit of it. But you've paid attention. I don't know if it was luck or if it was a combination of luck and necessity, but you created something pretty cool we're going to talk about in a minute. But talk about where you ended up going, what you ended up getting into.
So at this time, you know, again, I was into video. I was creating a lot of video content, and this was right around the time that iStock Photo had become big. So they had recently sold to Getty Images for like $40 million, and you know, back then that was a lot of money. You know, it seems like pennies today, but that was a lot of money back then. So so I saw what they were doing, and I knew that nobody was doing that with video, and stock video was just like stock photos were, you know, was $400 for a clip of a cat or whatever, and it was ridiculous. So that's where I headed. I started a company called RevoStock, and you know, the goal was to be the first micro stock, which is what those companies are called, micro stock media that's crowdsourced, and you know, it's only $1, and now it's up to whatever, to $10 or whatever. But back then it was like $1 at iStock Photo. So so I launched, you know, I started building RevoStock, hired a company. I was more of a designer than a programmer at the time. So I hired a company to develop this website that was going to be the video version of iStock Photo, basically. And also the long-term goal was that we would add, you know, music and sound effects and other stuff too, but everything kind of video related. So I launched that in 2006. I launched RevoStock. Funny story, ironically, after I launched RevoStock, maybe a month later, I went on my iStock Photo account to use some credits that I had, and I was locked out of my account.
Whoa.
I thought, well, that's weird. You know what? I mean, I've got money in here. Why am I locked out? And it was really weird the way it was. Like, it wasn't like you're locked out. It was like, you know, when the CSS doesn't work on a website and it's just a bunch of, there's no design or anything. That's what it was like. So it even looked strange. Like, what's going on? So I called them up, and the lady answered the phone. I said, hey, look, you know, I'm locked out of my account. And she said, yeah, let me forward you, you know, to so-and-so. So this guy answers the phone in just the Office Space voice. And he's like, yeah. And he eventually says, yeah, you're that Revo guy, right?
Wow.
And I said, yeah. And he said, yeah, you're kind of our competition.
Oh, my God.
And I said, no, I'm not. I said, you guys do photos. We do videos. We're not competition. He goes, yeah, you're kind of our competition.
Wow.
And that's when it hit me that they were going to be adding video.
Yeah.
And I just felt like the world just collapsed on me. Because to me, they were a giant, you know, like they owned the market. And, you know, I'm telling my wife this, we're both freaking out. I'm curling up, sucking my thumb in the shower and just feel like it's over before it's begun.
Right.
And thankfully it was not. It was not over before it began. And you know, it didn't have that great of an effect, but that was definitely something that terrified me.
Jiminy Christmas, man. And there's I'm not a fan of Getty Images. I not even a little bit.
No comment on that.
Yeah. Huh?
No comment. No comment.
Yeah.
You're not alone. I've heard that from other people, but
I'm sure a lot of people hate them. But the I think that and that's another thing that a lot of people don't understand is licensing when it comes to using even B-roll stock video stuff, but and there's not a website out there really that says, hey, by the way, this is the licensing and you need to understand that.
Right. Yeah, it's never extremely clear, and a lot of these marketplaces have people, they got people uploading content from everywhere, and they're all kind of agreeing to your license, but sometimes they're just kind of not really reading it either. So it is a little muddy, but I never had an issue with it. I had that business for 10 years. I was always terrified that we would get sued for some kind of copy. Somebody uploaded something. Yeah. And we never got sued for that. We got sued for patent infringement, but we never got sued for copyright infringement. And that's a whole nother story.
What? You kind of told me a little bit of that. Why don't you, if you're okay with it?
Oh yeah, I'm totally okay with it. So we were about 6 or 7 years into it. It was going great. We had invented basically a new category, and that was templates for Adobe After Effects. So before RevoStock, nobody was creating that kind of content, and we, basically got into it and started creating kind of these, you could download this template, you could modify it, and you'd have like this amazing looking 30-second commercial, and that became like 50% of our business basically. And honestly, if it had not, I don't know how long we would have lasted, because we weren't really that competitive. We were not the first, I thought we would be the first microstock video. There's another company that was launching almost the exact same time that we did. And of course we had these other, we had iStock ad video, eventually Shutterstock added video. So that became a lot more competitive. So that was our niche, and it worked. These After Effects templates worked really well. And we also sold a good bit of video footage and music. But about 6 years in, I'm sitting in bed with my laptop one night, and I get this email, and it says, hey, I'm this attorney in Arizona. I understand you've been sued for patent infringement. If you need help, let me know. And I'm just looking at this email, just baffled. It's 9 p.m. at night, sitting there watching Netflix or whatever, and or actually back then probably watching DVDs of 24. I don't think Netflix was around, but I'm show this to my wife, and we're just like, what the heck? So I Google, RevoStock versus or whatever, and up comes this lawsuit, this patent infringement lawsuit. What? So that leads me down this path over the next couple of days to understand what was happening to us. And what was happening was we were being sued by what's called a patent troll. And patent trolls, what they do is they gather up patents, usually vague patents, that they can use to sue as many companies as they can. And when they sue them in East Texas. They bring them out to Tyler, Texas, or Marshall, Texas, because that whole area has become this ecosystem for patent trolls to thrive and win, basically. So they're confident that if they bring you out there, the likelihood of you winning is low. But even then, to defend yourself is like $2 million. So we were basically screwed from the get-go, because there was really no way that we didn't have investors. It was, my company was all privately funded. Wow. We didn't have $2 million laying around. Most definitely we did not. So it looked to be a disaster, like from the get-go. It looked like it was going to just ruin us. What was the patent that they said you had broken or stolen or whatever? The patent was, and I'll try to describe it as best I can. It was for a negotiation system for negotiating the rights of like movies or TV shows. You know,
Okay.
that was as I understood it. So if you're like a TV station in Japan and, you know, you want to show Jaws on Christmas Day at 2:00, you know, you would have to negotiate all these terms to be able to do that. So this software made that possible. But with these with patent suits, I mean, you can sue for really almost anything as long as it's close enough. So because that had to do with licensing media and we had to do with licensing media, it was just that's really what the connection was. We had a static license with an I agree checkbox like everybody's had forever.
Right.
And there's no negotiation, there's no back and forth. It's just you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. You click I agree and you download your video and that's it. But the judge, I mean, this is the interesting thing, is that there were about 5 judges that handled patent trolls in Marshall. 2 of them, their sons were attorneys for patent trolls.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So one of those was one of our judges, and he's not there anymore. But it's like, like it's just, and so the judge never threw us a bone. I mean, never through the whole thing. You would have an event where you would hope for some relief. It would not. It just over and over would not happen. So that went on for 2 years. And it still wasn't over. And I think the actual court date was like 3 years. And I can't go into it a whole lot, but I would say it was dismissed by just miraculous circumstances. And I will say, you know, that I reached out to somebody that was able to help with it. That is a crazy story that if I told it, you probably wouldn't believe it, honestly. But it was amazing. So it actually, you know, I reached out to this person, and within a month, it was over. Now, part of the reason for that was they had bigger fish to fry, and quite frankly, one of the group that was in this settled. One of the companies settled with them. There were 4 companies. They sue in chunks. They sued 4 companies. One of them settled. I think they had their precedent because the next month they sued everybody. They sued iStock. They sued Shutterstock. They sued Envato. They sued Getty. They sued everybody. And, you know, so that was, you know, maybe the reason why they were willing to let us out of it. But it was great. But the thing was, at that point, we were in trouble. Like, I think I told you that the time we were sued was at the same time that Google rolled out their SEO updates that hit us, and we dropped like 30% in traffic in like 3 months and 30% in revenue. So we had like this storm of stuff going on, and our revenue just started dropping. So at that point, I had just met with a guy who said, I think you need to file bankruptcy and just be done with it. He said, this lawsuit's not going away. You need to file bankruptcy and give up, you know. But he also told me to go talk to this person that I ended up talking to. So once that was over, you kind of got a second win. So I sent an email out to the people that sold through us, and I said, hey, this is what we've been going through. You know, do you want to throw in the towel, or do you want to try to come back from this? And everybody resoundingly said, let's try to come back. And that's what we did for the next 2 years, and it didn't work. And we just basically ended up, you know, one morning I came out and brought the website up, and it was a blank page because our hosting company had shut us down. And I had already planned to sell my house at that point. And we closed on selling our house in like 7 days because it was all coming crashing down very fast. So, and that was go ahead.
When you're in that, like, and I've been there, especially when Google changed the algorithms, the Penguin and Panda updates, and their stupid names for those updates.
Yeah, right. Yeah, all cute, all cute and fuzzy.
Yeah, I used to like penguins and pandas and all that. but you know, like when you're in that, and because I've been there, but I want to hear your, you know, like you feel like your world is just coming up, like it's not going to get better. Like you just feel like there's no hope. There's everything that I thought I knew, I don't.
Yeah.
Everything I had done successfully no longer works. And I'm a loser.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff, man.
Yes.
I had a vehicle repossessed in front of a bunch of employees one time. I was like, this sucks.
Yeah. Yes.
You know? So tell me how did you get through those emotions? What were some of the things you were experiencing, and how did you get through it?
I mean, you know, obviously I have a background. I have a faith-based background. So faith is a big part of that. I kept just trusting that things would be okay. But you know what? They're still not always okay. And
right.
But that did help me get through it. And but I think the biggest thing is just I wish I had known more people that had gone through that. I think the biggest thing is that you really do feel like you're just going to die. I mean, you feel like your whole world is just going to implode and suck into a cavern, and and your kids are going to run off and, you know, become crack addicts. And you know, you just think the worst things are going to happen.
Right.
And that feeling keeps you from making decisions that you need to make, I think.
And it's awesome when somebody says, you just got to turn it over to God. It's going to be okay.
Right. Yeah. What if God doesn't want it to be okay? You know,
you're like, I have a master's degree in theology.
Exactly.
All right? Don't preach at me.
What if he has other plans, you know?
Right.
And I did think about that. I thought, you know, what if God does have other plans, and this is not like, this whole situation that I had built, this marketplace, was not going to be an easy Band-Aid rip. Right. And it was going to be a slow, painful tear. And I knew that. And but I also felt like, because we had this marketplace, and because there were people depending on us, and they were selling content through us, I felt like I had to go down with the ship, basically. Yeah. Like I just felt like I could not just give up and say, oh, well, sorry, you know, you're going to lose some money. I'm just going to quit. And that's that. I just didn't feel like I could do that. So I really felt like I did have to just go down with it. And that's basically, you know, and I did everything I could to save it. I tried to get co-founders. I tried to sell it multiple times. Tried to sell it one time. It got all the way up. 6 months in, they said, we're going to have an offer to you on Thursday. Our attorneys are going to contact you. And on Wednesday, they said, nah, never mind. Wow. And that happened twice. One time that happened after we had shut everything down. And a pretty big company, contacted me within like 2 weeks. Hey, we're interested in, you know, buying, you know, whatever. And, you know, buying you or whatever it was they wanted to do. And at that point, we had all this content stored on Amazon that I had to keep alive. And it was a lot of content that I had to keep alive with just money, personal money to live off of. And that ended up same thing. Like after I kept saying, look, y'all got to tell me what's going on here, because this is killing me. And Amazon is threatening me. You know, they're saying I remember it was Thanksgiving Day. And the guy at Amazon was like, you need to send us $8,000 by tomorrow, or we're deleting all your content. And that it was the worst. I just laid in bed all Thanksgiving. It was at my mom's house. I had this incredible headache. And, you know, I think they were bluffing, quite frankly. And, you know, but eventually this company said, nah, not going to work out. And eventually I just had to click delete on all that, you know, all that content. So yeah, I had to reboot. I had to start over from below ground zero.
Below ground zero,
without a doubt.
Yeah.
that was very difficult.
It's incredibly difficult, man.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, I mean, what year was that? That wasn't that long ago, was it?
2015.
Yeah. So just a few years ago.
Yeah.
And so eventually I've been there, man. I'm not laughing at you. I promise you.
You laugh away, man.
It's euphoric recall, man. It's like,
yeah.
You know, you go through these really tough times as an entrepreneur, because I think that entrepreneurs have a loose screw, quite frankly. Like, I think we do. I think that it's like, hey, man, let me see how much pain I can tolerate on no sleep, and hopefully make it big someday.
Yeah.
But you know, like, eventually you started pulling out of I'm sure you hit a depression, you hit all of that stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really depressed. I didn't feel like I had time to be depressed, really. Right. So I started doing marketing. You know, I started doing websites. I started, a little consultancy, and thought I would just help local companies with that. Yeah. Had a culture shock with that. Like, I'd never done networking at all. Yeah. And I learned, if I'm going to get local clients, like, I have to do this thing called, I have to go to the Chamber of Commerce at 7 a.m. and just wish I could pull hair out that I don't have anymore. Right. And felt like that was the biggest waste of time, but eventually learned, okay, yeah, like, I got a client from that. And so I started rebuilding that way, but that was never the long-term goal. Like, the long-term was, I have startup ideas I want to do again. Yeah. And, I don't think I want to have a marketing agency long-term. I'm not totally sure, but I'm pretty sure I don't. Yeah. But that first year was nightmarish. I mean, there were days I was scouring for gift cards that I could go sell, literally, for $20 or whatever. I mean, it was crazy, but at the same time, and I only told my wife this recently, there was a little thing inside of me, like, this is a challenge, man. I want to come back. I want to come back from this. This is a challenge. There was that part of me that was kind of relishing in it a little bit.
You're like, I'm the Phoenix.
And there was, I didn't, like I said, I'd never tell my wife that, but there was that part, man. And I think that's just maybe that entrepreneurial thing. So, and I think that helped a little bit to kind of get through it.
I want to point out something, because look, I didn't go to college. In fact, my senior year, they said you didn't get a credit in biology and you need that to graduate. And I tried negotiating with them, and that didn't work. So I just said, well, then I'm out. I'm done. I'd already been programming in basic language and had a really good firm grip on all that. But, I was, you're incredibly educated. I mean, you have a master's degree, and you are, and it's in theology. So, like, it's literally all about faith. And here you are, like, your company, everything you tried to do wouldn't stand. And and you were questioning, I'm sure, your faith. I'm sure you were questioning everything, right?
Yeah. Without a doubt.
And I want people to understand that it doesn't matter where you come from on the education or the socioeconomic scale. Like, I don't want to swear on here, but you know what can hit the fan in your life?
Indeed. Yes.
And like, you're like, whoa, what in the world? And you don't know how to handle it.
So
that can happen to anyone.
It can happen to anyone. And after this happened, I started talking to people, and people were telling me their stories. So that's when people start telling me their stories. That's when people start saying, oh yeah, that happened to me. I went through the same thing and lost everything. And I wish these people would have talked to me before, and maybe that was because I was not talking to people. And that is one thing throughout all this that I mean, if I could give advice to people that are struggling, I would say, one, you have to ask for help. Help. People want to help you. And I had people help me along the way that was just incredible. Like other entrepreneurs that I barely knew that chipped in some money. I mean, mind-blowing stuff all along the way.
Yeah.
So if you don't reach out, you're screwed. Like you've got to let people know what's going on. Let people know what you're struggling with, and don't be afraid to ask for assistance. But the other thing is that even though everything did blow up, everything did blow up. I did have to take my kids out of their school they'd been going to, all their life. And my daughter just became a senior, and I had to put them, they were in a private school. I had to put them in a public school. Had to do a lot of things, sell our house, move into an apartment that we just kind of thought was just going to blow everything up. And it didn't blow everything up. Right. And my kids didn't become crack addicts, and it taught them great lessons, and looking back, I think it was great for them. I think it was great for all of us. I think it taught my whole family great lessons, and
humility and everything.
Oh yeah, humility and a better understanding of money and managing money and what you need and what you don't need. So all that was really valuable, and also I think helped set me up for any future, business as well. I mean, there's a lot that I, will do differently going forward.
So I cannot believe we've already been on here 47 minutes, man. That's crazy. So let's segue into the good stuff, man, because you and I'm trying to think how to frame this, but I came across you through a Facebook ad, I think.
Yep.
And I've been looking for a long time. I told you, like, dude, I've been looking for something like this for a very long time. And apparently so had you.
Yes.
Indeed. And you're like, this is bull crap. I can't find it.
So
I'm just going to develop it. And dude, you've developed something that honestly, I use it almost every day now. And it's incredible. Like, it's absolutely mind-blowing incredible. And I'm going to let you tell the story about how that all came about. This new company, it's not brand new. You've been around for a little bit, right?
A few months, since July.
So it is brand new.
Yeah, it's pretty much brand new. Yeah.
Wow. So nobody really even knows about this that much, and that's what's exciting. Geez. So tell everybody what was happening that made you go, okay, I gotta fix this problem in the marketplace.
Yeah. So I have obviously a lot of background in video, and watching what's going on with, this whole gold rush of video content. And as I'm sitting at my computer with my head in my hands, I'm not doing nothing. I'm watching YouTube and Facebook and watching Gary Vee and watching Casey Neistat and seeing, this change and this video content that's starting to come out, and realizing that when I started RevoStock, my mindset was video is coming, like everything's going to be heading that way. But I didn't realize like how far ahead that was and how far off that was. It was a lot farther off than I realized. Right. But I feel like now, like the wave, we're at the crest of the wave, and it's starting to just go nuts, and everybody's starting to realize that they have to get into video. So I was going to create a program to help people create better video content, specifically content, the traditional, I mean, I've made video production traditionally, you know, with filming people and lighting and all, and trying to make it look amazing. But this video content thing's a whole different strategy, and it's a whole different thing. So, and there's lots of people just whipping out their, you know, their webcams, and they're creating video content, and it doesn't look great, and the sound is not great, and the lighting is not great, and they don't know kind of these basic little tweaks that you can do to make it look so much better or sound so much better. So I was going to work on this program. So I started making my own video content to kind of promote this program. I totally believe in the whole subtitle video thing. So I'm making these videos, and I'm first doing them in After Effects and typing out my subtitles. And then I get an app and I'm typing out my subtitles. And one day I'm just typing them out, and I'm just like, this is madness. Like, what am I doing? Sitting there typing out these subtitles. This is insanity. There's got to be a better way to do this. And so I started kind of looking into it and realized pretty quickly, like, there is a better way to do this, and it can be automated. And because of what I've done in the past with RevoStock, you know, a lot of video encoding and everything, I kind of already knew what to do. So I started building, you know, this tool that would make it easy to automatically create subtitles and throw those created subtitles in a little designer, so you can add a headline and an animated countdown bar.
But let's, before you go that far, explain why, because I can explain it, but I'd rather you say it. Why are subtitles even important? Because I honestly, for years, I've done video for many, many years now, and I've never used subtitles until recently. And the reason is going into Adobe After Effects or Adobe Premiere and putting in your own subtitles is literally a nightmare. It's a nightmare. It sucks. It's horrible.
Yeah.
So
it is.
Explain why subtitles are important.
Yeah, they're important because, you know, and I didn't even know this number until recently, that, you know, it's 80 to 85% of social media videos are watched without the sound on. And if you know that and you start paying attention to your own use, you know, as you're flipping through, I mean, I see myself just skipping videos that don't have text. There's nothing telling me immediately what's going on with that video. Right. And I'm just skipping right by it. So there, you know, subtitles used to be an option if it's in a different language or you can't understand the person. Now it's an aesthetic. It is literally for social media. Now, I'm not talking about YouTube. You know, people say, what about YouTube? People go to YouTube to watch long form video. Right. And they know they're going to be turning their sound on. So it's a different story. I mean, subtitles help. Yeah. But social media, they're not going there to watch long form video. They're going there to just do social media stuff. And there happens to be video on there. Right. So if you're going to stop them in their tracks and get them to watch your video, you have to give them a visual, something they can read that will grab them, draw them in, and then, you know, most people don't want to hit that microphone or that speaker button to turn the sound on.
Unmute, right,
So you need to make sure they can read, you know, what's going on in your video. So that's the reason.
So you were doing this by hand. You looked around, saw there's no way to, there was nothing out there that would automate this process. Because they are hiding very, very well from Google.
Exactly. Yeah, I had been looking for probably a year or two. I had kept checking to see if there was something. Yeah. And there were bits and pieces that you can kind of put all together, but I didn't want to mess with that. And I wanted something very simple and clean that could do it quickly and easily. So, so I was surprised that there was not a solution.
Dude, me too. I'm with you. I totally agree.
Because there almost always is. You know, when you have an idea, there almost always is somebody who's already done it. You know.
Yes.
So I was very happy
until now.
Until now, indeed.
Until now, right?
Yes.
So talk about what you ended up developing.
So I developed, you just made me think of a funny story. So I developed this app. I called it Clip Titles. And again, you upload your video. In a few minutes, it transcribes your video, but it doesn't just transcribe it. It times your subtitles perfectly with your video.
It does.
It does. And then and the transcription's not perfect. It's AI transcription. So it throws your subtitles in a little editor, and you can go through real easily, scroll through it, make edits, play through it, preview it. But it has a bunch of layouts that, based on the most popular layouts that people are using on all the social media networks. So the square with a bar on the top and the bottom, the vertical with a big bar on the top and the bottom. I mean, there's a bunch of them depending on what type of video you upload.
Here, let me just show it.
Yeah,
I have it. So this is what you're talking about over here.
Mm-hmm.
This is one that I did literally last night. I did this announcing that I was given an Amazon influencer account. And
I saw that. I saw your video. Yep.
Did you listen to it, or did you just read the subtitles?
I read the subtitles.
I know you did. So this is a really amazing system. And dude, I've already talked to you about, I think you're way underpriced, but like, again, whatever, it is what it is, but you have this Clipscribe now that's just, it's phenomenal. And as far as the subtitles not being perfect, for me, they're about 96% accurate, I'd say.
Yeah, for most people, they are. They're very accurate as long as your audio is good.
Yeah.
And then what we do several languages too. So what will happen a lot of times is somebody in Australia will upload a video and they'll forget to choose Australian English. So they'll be like, oh, my subtitles are off. And it's like, well, no, if you change your language, they'll probably be better. So for the most part, yeah, it's pretty darn accurate.
It's phenomenal, man. And you made me an affiliate account, and I appreciate that. So I make a few bucks anytime somebody signs up, and I've had some people sign up that absolutely love it also. I love the fact that your entire story is so similar to mine in a lot of ways, outside of the master's degree in theology. But it's the getting punched in the face over and over and over and being knocked down and saying, you know what, I'm not giving up on life, on business, on whatever, and just keep going.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. And I was going to share the story as well, because it's quite humorous if anything else. But, I originally called this Clip Titles. It was not Clipscribe.
Oh.
And I started running ads on Facebook, and they were doing really well back in July. And I paused them for a little bit, and then I kicked them back up again, and almost immediately my account was shut down. So Facebook disabled my ad account.
What?
And I went and looked at the reason, and they said it was because I was promoting adult content. And I was just baffled by that. I'm like, well, this got to be an accident or something. So I reach out to Facebook, and I'm like, hey, what the heck is going on? We're not, obviously this is not adult content. Can you turn us back on? So it took a couple days. I get one email that said, no, we're shutting you down for good. They said forever, basically. And then a follow-up that said, no, we're going to turn it back on again. Jeez. This went on for 2 weeks straight, basically. And eventually I had to realize that their filters were seeing the word titles And there's another more adult word that you can probably infer that some computer might think is something else. So yeah, I had to totally rebrand everything basically overnight and come up with a new name. And a lot of people say they don't care about names, but I do. I just need a name that I feel good about.
Yeah.
And I like Clipscribe better. It's the first 2-syllable domain name I've ever had. So I was actually very happy with it and couldn't believe that it worked out that way. But yeah, that was a crazy story. And another example of just boom, right as things appear to be just lifting up, just boom, right in the face. And I really thought, this is it. Like, I mean, what if this is permanent? Like, what if there's no coming back from this? Facebook is the ideal platform to promote this product. So
it really is.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but you gotta punch through, and you gotta make difficult. I mean, rebranding your whole company is not pleasant. But
dude, you had to rebrand your entire life, and that's the thing. When I look at when you think about like other people, and you see, because I've seen other people, I do a lot of coaching, one-on-one coaching, and I see people that have been through the ringer, man.
Yeah.
And they've almost not given up on life, but kind of given up on ever pursuing a dream again. And I, that's one of the things I do, is wake them up to their potential. But I mean, like, what do you think, in your opinion? And we're a little bit over the hour. I apologize for that, but I want to just finish up with a couple of questions. What do you think, in your opinion, is the number one thing that keeps people from success in life? Because this Clipscribe, by the way, just so everybody knows, it's really starting to take off for you, right?
It is, yeah. Yep.
And it's cheap. It's what did I pay? $49?
Yeah, $45 for a whole year. For the launch. That is for the launch special. So that is not forever, but that is for now. So
that's insane.
If you want to partake, now is the time to partake. Now, that will not be forever.
$49, y'all. Like $49, and you can have subtitles on your videos. Yep. Unbelievable. Yeah. So what do you think is what holds people back? What keeps people? Again, we've been there, you've been there, I've been there, where it's like you watch your dream crumble, right? And you don't stay stuck there. You want to stay stuck there, but you don't. You see other people. What holds people back, man?
I don't know. I mean, it's a hard question to ask, because I can answer from my perspective, because I have not had a real job, since 2001. So general success, kind of like in the workplace, I don't feel like I can really speak to. I think when it comes to entrepreneurial pursuits, I think that once you do one, you realize you can do more. So and the more you start, the more you realize you can do more, and the more you realize how accessible it really is. So people talk about limiting beliefs and all that, but I mean, that's really what that is. Like, you think, oh, this has got to be so much more difficult, and it might be, but if you can get through those hurdles, you will start to stair step. And then I feel like you start to really feel like, I can pretty much do this. I think, as long as there's a reason, there's something I can grab onto. Now there may not be something you can grab onto. And, I got lucky with, this kind of idea that all kind of worked out. But I would say people don't believe that they can do something, so they don't head in that direction. And I always say, if you have an idea and you think it's a worthy idea, head in that direction. Start moving in that direction. And coming from kind of a faith-based mindset, I would always say, I'm gonna head in this direction, and if God didn't want me to do it, he'll shut it down. But I'm going to head in that direction and see what happens. So I would say, head in that direction. Start making little stair steps. Start doing little things. And as you see little victories, as you conquer little things, and you can start to expand off of that. And really, once you start seeing things start to roll down the hill and you start making progress, then everything just starts kicking in. And I feel like then your drive will kick in, and you're going to want to work late or do whatever you got to do, to make this thing happen. That's what I would say.
So let's finish with somebody is stuck right now. They know that there's something greater and better for them or their life or their family. They're stuck. They don't know what to do. Maybe the electric just got shut off. The car got repoed. The what's hitting the fan right now. And they just don't know what to do. They don't know which way is up or which way to turn. And they call you. Yeah. And they say, Craig, this is what's going on, man. I just feel like I've lost all hope. Yeah. What are you going to say to that person in that moment to bring them back?
Well, really just practical stuff. Let people know, like you're letting me know what's going on, and let me see if I can help you. If you're trying, obviously if you have a job, then you have a job. And if you're not able to meet what you need to meet, then you need to come up with some kind of a side hustle. But if you were in my position, I would say start networking, find people that, can help you essentially. Right. That was everything to me. I did start getting involved in networking groups, and that was a huge lesson for me. If I had understood networking back with RevoStock or these, or my previous company, I think it would have really changed things. I would have made more connections and more business development opportunities. So when you're down in those dumps, you can't just hide and just hope. It's not going to fix itself. Right. And if you're not in a position to fix it, you need to go and find some people that can guide you or help you, give you advice, and possibly get you gigs, get you jobs. People helped me. That first Chamber of Commerce I went to, I met a guy who was doing marketing himself. And when I was strapped, I would call this random guy up and I'd be like, hey, man, you got anything I can do? He was like, yeah, write this content for me. I'll pay you $600 and I'd go pay, whatever, my car payment or whatever. Right, I didn't know this guy from anybody. Right. But I told him my story. He got it. He understood, like you understand, like most people understand you're going to have hard times. And he said, hey, let me help this guy out and give him some work to do. So don't hide, tell people about what's going on, and people are eager to help you.
So essentially take massive action, man. If it's going, things are going wrong, as my buddy Grant Cardone says, when things are going wrong, go 10X. Like you gotta turn up the heat, man, and everything you're doing.
You definitely have to do that as well. And you can't wait until I definitely had fears, and you have fears, and you want to hope things will go away. And I'm not going to lie, there were things that I maybe should have taken care of earlier, but you have to manage your psyche. You can't go crazy. So I knew, you know what, I probably need to deal with blank, but if I deal with it, I'm not going to be able to deal with anything else. So you do have to say what's critical. Right. What do I have to deal with, and deal with that. Yep. And when you can move on to the next thing, deal with that. And I'll say, if you have something, you have to get ahead a little bit, so you have a little blank space to work on such and such. And that's really what it was like with Clipscribe. Like I had to be at a point where I could take the time I needed to work on it.
Right.
But I had to be financially at a point where I could do that. So I had to do other things that maybe weren't my favorite things to do. You know, I develop websites or shoot. I mean, I shot videos. I don't like shooting videos. Like video production, I don't like it. But I did plenty of it.
Sure.
Because I know how to do it, and I know people will pay me to do it. So you have to do crap you don't want to do. And when you get to a point where you have that, okay, I got a little downtime. Let me make some progress on blank. Do this, make progress, do this, and get to that point where then you can start getting somewhere where you can start making money from the thing you've been making progress on. And then start stair-stepping that. So
that's it. Dude, what an incredible story. I appreciate you coming on. I know we had some technical issues up front, but dude, I'm glad we worked through those and you came on. You have an unbelievable story. And you know, for anybody that is doing video content, you must have subtitles on your videos if you want to make more traction on social media.
Indeed.
And Craig has developed something. I have the comment pinned. That is my affiliate link. Please click on that if you decide you want. It's only $49, and that's per year. You get all kinds of I looked last night. I didn't even realize you can tell how much you've used. I didn't even realize that. And so mine's at I've used 7 minutes for the month, which is insane because I've used a bunch of it, but I do little videos with little subtitles on there, and it works. It's awesome. Dude, I uploaded that video yesterday. It was about a minute and 9 seconds or something. It took, I mean, it was so fast, it was mind blowing. Like I got notified within 60 seconds. I don't even think it was that long. That was impressive. So,
it's sped up. We've sped it up quite a bit. So,
dude, you've got an incredible platform, an incredible system, and I pray for you. I hope that it continues to grow because you're providing unbelievable value to the world, man. It's awesome.
I appreciate it, man. And support is everything. So, you know, if you try it out and you have any issues, just DM me. I'll be on it like crazy.
And he's not kidding. I had an issue at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time one night, and I sent him a text message, and boom, he was on it. Like
I woke up at 4 a.m. and just checked my phone, and there was something wrong, and I got on it and fixed it. So I'm serious about this.
That's awesome.
I mean, I think it's everything. Customer support is everything, and it's a great way to connect with people and build relationships too. So it's very important to me. So please reach out. You know, if you have any issues, I'd love to take care of it.
Awesome, brother. Well, thank you. I appreciate you coming on, sharing your story, being so transparent. And everybody, check it out. Go click on the link I put in the messages. Click on that link and go check it out. It's incredible. So, Craig, thanks again. I appreciate you being on, bro.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Have a great day. Bye-bye.